Welcome to Beyond the Bounce, presented by ZTE. I'm your host, Byron Bogar, and joining me today, Coach Eric Snow, and former 14-year-old NBA vet, 14-year NBA vet?
13,
13, okay.
14 counting.
Gotcha. All right. I was going to add it so we can round them up, help you out with that pension. Welcome to the show today, Coach. Let's get right into it. Fans may know you a little bit, Eric, but where you from? Where you growing up? Ohio?
Canton, Ohio.
Okay.
Pro Football Hall of Fame,
All right.
Canton McKinley High School.
And then what kind of, was it always basketball or was it possibly football, soccer, any other sports?
Like I said, Pro Football Hall of Fame, so it was always football till I got to high school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of made the decision there that I didn't want to get hurt. That's when I missed basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I kind of figured, basketball is my sport.
What year was that?
Probably my junior year.
Was there a certain hit, Coach, that got you like, hey, this ain't for me?
No, I didn't. I had a lot of speed, so I didn't like getting hit. So no, it was more than anything. If I had to go without one,
Mm-hmm.
basketball was a sport I didn't want to go without. So then I kind of knew that my passion for that sport had, kind of passed football. But growing up until that point, it was all football.
Now, you were a 3-time MVP at McKinley, right?
Yes.
And then you chose Michigan State,
Yes.
Old Sparty. What made you choose that decision out of high school?
Ohio State didn't offer me.
Oh, really? You still have that chip on your shoulder?
Yes, always. But I still support them. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that chip will go anywhere. But ecstatic about Michigan State. Wanted to play in the Big Ten growing up. That's what I knew and what I wanted to do. Had the opportunity to go to Michigan State. Wouldn't change that decision for anything. That was a terrific time and great coaches and definitely loved that. Great teammates.
Now you're following kind of in the footsteps of a former Spartan. We had Coach Charlie Bell with us last year, Coach. Are you cool with Charlie?
Yes, cool with Charlie. He's my young guy though, because I came first.
Okay.
So, I was at Michigan State first.
Okay.
But Charlie's a great guy, great passion for the game. I know him and his family. I remember when he was in high school and came into Michigan State, but he was a good guy, and I know he's very helpful to the guys as well.
Well, the young guy kind of grew up on you, Coach. Last year when he was in that same spot, I asked him kind of where he stacks up with Michigan State, and he kind of feels like he's maybe the greatest guard to ever come out of Michigan State. Do you want to reply? Do you have any reply for that, Coach?
Well, I mean, I'm saying if Charlie's thinking in his mind, he in his mind, that's probably true. It's not reality, but it's true. I mean, but no, seriously, Charlie was I think a very underrated guard at Michigan State. If you look at the success he's had, how many wins he was a part of, he was a big part of them. Won the championship, so he was a terrific player at Michigan State.
Now, following the steps of Magic Johnson, how do you feel you stack up on some of the Michigan State greats, Coach?
Well, at Michigan State, a lot of the guys, the good guards, probably have better numbers than me. I think that my career took off more when I left Michigan State. I was a guy that no one thought that would make it to the NBA, so I make it and play all those years. So I was kind of looked at as a better pro than college player.
Nothing wrong with that.
So I think there's quite a few of them that have better credentials in college, but I think I kind of surpassed.
You take that NBA cake,
I kind of surpassed a little of them.
Now you were under recruited in high school, out of high school, and then like you said, nobody really expected you to make the league. You had a solid career at Michigan State, but you got drafted by the Sonics, right? And then traded to the Sixers. Bucks.
Bucks, then traded to the Sonics. Yes.
And then tell me how where you at? You still have that chip on your shoulder from Ohio State. Now, is this a bigger chip, or did you feel you went where you should have went?
Well, I mean, at that time, I played with Sean Resper, who was a lottery pick, was a top 10 pick. Going into my junior year, I didn't really think I was, going to get drafted. I was preparing to try to get a job at Ford and use my business degree.
What were you going to do at Ford, Coach?
I'm really not sure. I was probably going to try to go there, or Coach Izzo was taking over at that time. He had offered me to be a graduate.
So you weren't even on thinking.
I wasn't on anybody's radar going into my senior year. It was just, and then I had a good friend of mine was like, "Yo, we got one more year, man. Just try to do it." So ended up having a decent year. Coach Heathcote had pulled me in. Before I'd even started, I was struggling in the free throw line, and he had said, "Well, if you just do what I ask you to do, you'll be a 10-year pro."
Is that simple?
That's what he said. So he was like, "If you just run a team and defend and try to make an open shot." So
Coach was right.
So I said, "Okay, I'll try to do it." So I tried to do it, and then at the end of the season, Marty Blake at the time was, head of the recruiting, I guess, for most of the college players, sent me an invite to the pre-draft camps. And my coach called me in. He was like, well, you got an invite. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. He was like, well, you should be like very excited.
Not
So
everybody gets
at
invited.
that time, I didn't really know that they had probably only invited around 30 or 40 players. And I was one of them. So he was like, and you got a chance to you really got a chance to play at the next level. So up until that point, I didn't really think I had a chance. But when that letter came, like it kind of changed. So went to the pre-drafts, had a few individual workouts, did well. I went from a guy that wasn't even on the NBA radar to now all of a sudden, would I be to maybe a fringe first round?
Funny how that works out, Coach.
And ended up, being the 43rd pick, going to a team, the Sonics, that worked me out for a first round pick. So it was a team that I know that had an interest in me, and went there, had a lot of great veterans that helped me out in every way, and kind of took
Now,
off
what's
from
that
there.
call like? Like you said, it's a process from going to not really thinking about the NBA. Hey, I have a chance in the NBA, and now the Sonics are on the phone with you, telling they're going to draft you.
It was interesting because I had some family over, and I wasn't really into a lot of the family. My older brother had got drafted, and he was a top.
Now, were these new family members
He was
too, or was this a close family?
I have a big family, so
Okay.
so he was a top 15 pick. So everybody knew he was going to get drafted first round. Well, I was sort of like, I don't know. So first round came, and all the teams I worked out for came, and I'm like looking around, and it's going and it's going, and they had a commercial. So when they came back from the commercial, they was like, while we were gone, my name and my picture popped
So
up.
you went on.
that's
You
when I
would have
knew,
been on the ticker right
yeah,
there.
so
Eric Snow.
so it's like it popped up like after the commercial. So I found out during the commercial that I was drafted. So I never
So
heard.
they didn't call you?
I never heard the call.
Yeah.
Like, you know how they say 43rd pick, the Milwaukee Bucks.
But did
select.
the team call you on the phone?
No.
Oh.
No. That's what I'm saying. I never even got a phone call. I never heard my name called to this day.
Yeah.
I have never seen it.
Yeah. So you was Eric Snow going across the ticker.
I had never seen. I seen it afterwards. I seen it, but I had never heard that call. I never heard. And then like later on, it's like maybe 30 minutes later, I still never got a call. So I called my agent. My agent called me. He's like, Milwaukee Bucks, it's kind of, he said, we didn't work out for him. I said, no, but I did an interview with them, and Sean Westbrook got drafted by Milwaukee. I said, well, maybe they like playing both of us together, because at that time they had Lee Mayberry and Ty Day, who was teammates. So like, maybe they like drafting teammates.
Yeah. Maybe.
So he calls Milwaukee, and Milwaukee said, no, that was Seattle's pick. That was a prearranged trade. So he's like, oh, that makes sense. So then he calls Seattle, and then Seattle calls me, and within 2 days I was in Seattle.
So you're finally there. Now, part of getting to the NBA is hard in its own. Now, staying in the NBA, what was kind of that learning curve coming out of college now into the NBA? Now you're playing against the greatest in the world.
I mean, I think the first wake-up call was, I think you assume the top players to be really good, but it was the players that
really working for an everyday job.
That were the 13th, 14th player or 15th player that were really good. So that's when you kind of like question yourself, like these guys that don't even play are way better. I can't even guard this guy, or I can't do this and that. So then you kind of open your eyes to how hard it is and how much you have to work to get in there. So we go and we have a little mini camp, and my first couple of years was interesting because it was a mini lockout. Like right before I got there, when I got there, when I was about to leave, they was like, "Oh, you can't leave. It's a lockout." For like 2 days, and then we went out there, and I went out there. I was set to talk to someone. I was like, "Okay, well, when will I be coming back home?" He was like, "Oh, you're not coming back home." I'm like, "What do you mean? I'm not coming back home?" He's like, "No, we're gonna put you up, and pretty much you're here." So I said, "Oh." Like I wasn't expecting that. Like I was expecting I had my summer and go do whatever I want to do. So I went out there. Another guy that I knew, Sherelle Ford, was the other rookie with me. Go out there and go through all our summer workouts with Coach Gerd. and then the veterans start coming in. We had like a mini camp with, back then, I don't know what we were doing. We had little mini camps because I don't think it was summer league that year. So we had mini camps, and then camp started. That's when all the veterans start coming back in. Nate McMillan, Gary Payton, Sam Perkins, Hersey Hawkins.
That was a tough team. Yeah, that was a tough squad.
Vincent Askew, and every single one of them, and Detlef Shrimp, every single one of those veteran guys had an impact on me in different ways. Nate McMillan taught me how to be a point guard and a leader, how to deal with star players, star personalities. Gary Payton, without a doubt, taught me how to compete at the highest level. And
trash talk too?
Well, I didn't do it, but I would do it to him because that was my job to get him to play hard.
You have to sharpen his
So I had to sharpen him up. So I had to. Hersey Hawkins taught me how to be a father. I mean, he would spend time with me with his kids. Sam Perkins showed me how to dress, but I didn't even know belts were supposed to match shoes. So, I mean, something as simple as that.
So instead of like, you may think that one person kind of takes you under wing, a whole team kind of took you under
it was like
wing.
everybody. Detlef Shrimp, I work out with Detlef. Detlef was 6'10". We used to play full court one-on-one. Like, Detlef showed me how to work out, things to work on. But David Wingate showed me how to be a reserve every day on the bench instead of pouting when you don't play, how to support your teammates, how to encourage people, how your body language and your facial expressions mean a lot when you're on the sideline. Vincent Askew used to take me on trips and take me to Vegas and just talk to me. So it was so many different people that kind of helped me that it's different. So I think that's the one thing that I would love to see
more in this day.
More of if some of these guys, especially as young as they're coming in now. I was a 4-year college student.
Don't really see that.
In my third year I was the youngest on the team. I would come out now as a college student and 4-year college student and probably be one of the oldest.
Upon a little bit.
Look like an old guy.
Now, you mentioned a lot of great names there, Coach. In your playing days, one kind of stands above the rest, and I would say Allen Iverson. Now, how was it playing against one of the greatest players of all time in AI?
You know what? Allen is a terrific friend of mine. Great teammate. Had no issues with him. You hear all the different things about Allen, but my experience with him, he's been great to me, he's been great to my family, and he still is to this day. I mean, I can call him for anything and he will do anything for me. So from a personal standpoint, that's my guy. As far as playing with him, it's just unreal. You can't teach what he was able to do.
Is it difficult trying to match up with a player that great? And sometimes we hear stories of Jordan in practice. Anything like that?
I think that's the one thing I think is people don't really say about Allen. You don't hear many of his teammates say anything. Maybe people thought that he shot more than he shot, but as far as not liking him as teammates, it was hard to do. It was hard to do. He's as real as they come. What you see is what you get. It's nothing fake about him.
Now, he didn't get to win that championship, but there's an iconic play back in L.A., back in the finals, where he hit the jumper in the corner, right? Tyrone Blue thought he was going to block the shot. I don't know what he was thinking. You can ask him that. And he fell to the ground. AI walks over him. What does defensive-minded Eric Snow do if that's him getting walked over?
Get up, run down the court,
or
either grab his leg when he's stepping over. Probably push his leg when he steps over. But I would probably try to hurry up and move out of the way before he stepped over.
So the camera will get off of you.
I would have did something. But T-Lou took it.
He did.
But T-Lou played him well. T-Lou took it.
He did, but that's kind of the one thing people are going to take from that one. Now you, like you said, you weren't MVP numbers, 30 points, triple doubles and all this, but you were a very solid player in your career. How did you embrace your role? And then did you always kind of know that you wanted to be a coach during your playing career?
Well, I mean, I have a passion for the game of basketball. I have a passion for NBA basketball. But my biggest passion is to help other people. And I think that, coaching or being part of an organization gives me that chance to do that. Whether it's the players, whether it's the community, you put yourself in position to help people. So that's my ultimate goal, and that was an avenue that I felt that I could accomplish that.
And then what differences have you noticed from the day that you played back in the day, a little bit rougher back then? Mm-hmm. What differences in the game have you noticed now as coach? No.
Well, I mean, the rules changes have given, obviously what they tried to accomplish was freedom of movement from the offensive players. That has changed the game. Teams really looking to shoot the three-point shot a lot more has changed. When I came in, the mid-range game was very big.
They're trying to get rid of that now, Coach.
Well, I mean, you just got to make it. I mean, if you make it,
Coach ain't gonna say anything.
I don't say anything. So if you make it, it's not a big deal. But so that I think that is the difference, as well as just how physical the game. It was a push and shove, but mainly because the rules allow for you to be more aggressive. And it was an inside-out game, where I think now it's an outside-in game. You see most of the top players are perimeter players, where when I played, you have some of the top players were perimeter players, but you had Shaq, you had Tim Duncan, you had Karl Malone, you had Patrick Ewing, you had a lot of guys that were on that post, because it was all about how you make the game easier for your teammates. And it's the same now. But now with the freedom of movement, these guys are so skilled with the basketball, with Russ and Steph and Kyrie and all these guys, and what they can do with the basketball, and then they can shoot it from the outside, that it puts so much pressure on the defense that you have to make adjustments or help, and how you going to guard them. Well, it was the same then, but it was really the inside. So now you put Tim Duncan and Shaq on that post, how you going to guard them? You got to double them. Now guys are open. It's the same concept, but just different philosophy and approach. And I think it had a lot to do with the change of the rules.
Nice. And this is in your first year coaching since being retired, but this is our second year in the NBA Assistant Coaches Program. Like I mentioned, Charlie Bell was with us last year. He's off now in Iowa, so he's not with us. He's against us type thing there.
Yes.
How does that program help former players, kind of help them transition from playing?
Well, I think the NBA has done a great job trying to instill programs for former players to give them experience, because some people some players may take this experience and go to college or go to high school or somewhere else.
Front office.
But I think it's a front office program as well that started this year. So I think it's an opportunity to come in and see things differently on a day-to-day basis. So I think a lot of the guys have the experience of playing and the knowledge of the game, but to come in and actually see it on a day-to-day basis, for me to be able to take notes and take an actual plan and game plan and practice plan and kind of put it into your own thoughts and your own system is what I'm trying to gain from it.
And then you're taking that. Now, this is your first time. You didn't have to experience the D-League back in your playing day and your luster. I'm going to give you 14 years, Coach, okay? They can come get us later. But kind of how is a G-League player approach, mental approach, different than kind of an NBA player?
Well, I mean, I think that, the approach is different because those guys are professionals, but they haven't reached the goal that they want to reach, and that's the NBA. I think if we had a G League when I first came in, I was a candidate for sure, because I was a rookie that was playing sparingly. So I think that's what it was made for, guys like myself. I mean, George Carl used to always tell me, you guys need to be at the CBA. You need to be in the CBA.
He's ready to ship
all y'all rookies. But he would say it, but then he would tell me, you got to be tough and you got to defend, and the intangibles that I had would help me stick, but that would give me the game experience. And when it's done right, if you go out there and you learn your principles and you can basically have it's like a feeder team, and it's a system that you can get used to and you can prove yourself. Just giving people an opportunity to be seen on a different platform where it's not the NBA level yet, it's still a professional, and it's still giving you an opportunity to learn, get better, and be seen.
Especially with being younger, coming out of college like they are these days. Well, Coach, before we let you go, every guest has to come through. They have to provide us with their all-time NBA greats list. Okay, they can be a teammate of yours. It doesn't matter. All throughout basketball, if you need a 6-man, go ahead and add you a 6-man. But we need your top 5 NBA greats of all time. If you're feeling yourself, you can add yourself to that honorable mention list as well.
I will add myself. I'll add myself as, the guy that's at the end of the bench that gives them their top.
We need those guys.
That would
Coach.
be me.
We need those guys.
I'll say my best players. Can I say teammates?
Well, you can do if you want to rank them like that, you can do teammates too.
Let's do my all best teammates.
Do you have a favorite teammate growing up in Little League, whatever? Is there a favorite teammate out there that doesn't know they're your favorite teammate of all time?
Growing up?
Period. All the games you played?
Probably.
Okay. You want to name them out in case they're watching?
I said probably.
But yeah, you can give us your teammates list.
I'll give you 2 lists. I'll give you my teammates list, and then I'll do non-teammates.
Okay.
Teammates, Gary Payton, Allen Iverson, LeBron, Sean Kemp, Dikembe Mutombo.
That's a tough team. That's a tough team.
I'll be starting 5. It's pretty good, though.
It is. That's a real tough team, Coach.
Non-teammates, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Shaq, and the 3-man is Grant Hill.
Ooh, Grant Hill vote. I like that one. Now you had to guard
People
Michael
forget
Jordan.
Grant Hill before he got injured.
Before the ankles. Before the ankles. Now you had to guard Michael Jordan, right?
Yes.
How was that? How was that saying I guarded the greatest basketball player?
Well, I mean, like I said, I played with guys that challenged Mike and tried to, play hard, and we had a system. And when I played him, he wasn't, at the end of his career, but he was, some of the things that they told me he was doing before, he wasn't quite doing them like that.
Just a little down.
Yeah, he was still dominant. He was still the best, but it wasn't the same. So we had it's interesting because I kept my scouting report. So people always talking about I have a Michael Jordan scouting. We actually had a scouting report on Michael Jordan. So I tried to follow the scouting report. I tried to, I knew where all my help was. Yeah. So it was like everything to a T. So we couldn't front him because their triangle. They would just throw it over top and he would lob me. So you had the 3-quarter. He was more of a jump shooter. He wanted to go left, all those different things that came into play. So, but it was interesting. My first time playing against him. As soon as I get on him, he's like, "Got a mouse." Guess I'm the mouse.
Nobody else is here. Huh?
Yeah. So, but it wasn't too bad. We were doubling on the pass. So.
Awesome. Well, Coach, thanks for joining us today on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us here on Beyond the Bounce, presented by ZTE. Until next time, we'll see you later.